Okay, so I am going to go ahead and pick up where we left off for class today. So I left off talking about note taking for the research paper. And so remember you have to have a minimum of 5 different sources for your research paper, and then I don't really care about the note cards, but you do need to take notes on your sources. It will really, really help you with your paper. It will save you time as well. And so this is just kind of a way that they had us, a way to show you the research note taking strategy of this person. So they have a quote or a fact from the source. And so, they have the fact here and then the quote that they decided from the article that they read that they might want to use in their paper. After that quote, they put the page number that they found the quote on, so that when you're going to write your paper, you don't have to go back through all of your sources to look for that one particular quote. You already know, oh, I found it on page 23 and I got it from the author Curry. So that's basically your in-text citation right there, already pretty much ready for you. If you do not have a page number and author because it's from like an internet source where it's just on a page and it doesn't have an author, say it's from the Historical Society and it's just something that they wrote, and they didn't really give an author, you would just put the site title right here instead of an author and a page number. Another thing you could also do so what I do for note taking is I would put the URL. I make a Google Doc and I would put the URL. I would put the author. I would put the date that I'm looking at it. I would write down the page numbers that I'm reading, the name of the article, all the stuff that I know they're probably going to ask me for in my bibliography. I would write that all at the top, and then right below it is where I put all of my facts that I'm possibly going to use in my paper, any quotes that I want to use, right underneath all of that information. And then anytime I pick a quote out, I'm going to put the specific page number that I found it at. That way it's all in one spot. And then when I start a new source, I'm just going to put the new information right at the top of that part again. So I would the URL, I would put the authors, I would put the page numbers, I would put the date, when was it published, all of that stuff. I would write it all at the top, and then I would start taking my notes again. And that way I know when I get to a new URL, I'm starting a new source, and then I am able to keep it organized that way. So one of the reasons why they suggest doing the cards is because it's easier to physically manipulate it and be able to organize it into body paragraphs or topics. So the examples here is Jessie had several note cards about her topic, free blacks in the North. And so she had one about the free black newspapers, one about successes of individual free blacks, white workers refusing to work with blacks, the Law and Order Party was trying to get the vote for free blacks, codes that were like a $500 bond that were unfair legal ones, and then examples of segregated facilities. And so she has all of these notes that she took from her sources, but they're not organized in any particular manner to make it so that it would be, a couple of paragraphs about one topic, a couple paragraphs about another topic. It's kind of, they're a little bit all over the board, so she needs to organize it in a way that it's logical and it makes sense to the reader. So now what she does with hers is she puts them into 2 different categories: discrimination and community efforts. Now you see all the discrimination stuff over here. They didn't want to work with them. They had segregated facilities. They had unfair bonds put on them. And then you see successes and community efforts and things that were put in effort. So now she has 2 different categories, and she can have body paragraphs about these 2 different categories. And so, we beat it like a dead horse, the 5-paragraph essay format. You don't have to do that for your research paper, right? So you could have 3 subtopics, and then you could do multiple paragraphs on each subtopic. So she could do a paragraph on each of these cards under the topic of discrimination. So she could write her introduction, have her thesis talk about the discrimination in the community efforts. Then she would go and talk about 3 paragraphs for different discrimination things, right? 3 different examples of discrimination. She could do 3 different paragraphs on discrimination and then move over and do 3 different paragraphs about the community efforts, and then she's done. That would be a 8-paragraph paper, and that would probably be a good length for your research paper, right? So you don't have to follow that 5-paragraph essay format style. You can find multiple paragraphs about the topics, as long as they're organized by topic. And so CiteFast, it's the link is in the class announcements chart. CiteFast is a really easy way to make your sources, and that will make you an MLA Works Cited page for you. So all that information that I said, put it at the top of your note cards or at the top of your notes, and then put your information, that would come in handy here. You just type it in, and then it makes it for you. Remember, you have to know where you're getting your information from. You have to know your source. You have to cite your information in MLA format. We will go over that in great depth, so don't worry about it. If you don't do those 2 things, you will get a 0 for plagiarism. So as a reminder as well, you need to have 3 subtopics. So Jessie had 2, discrimination, community efforts. You need 3. So if you were to write this paper like Jessie, you would need to have 1 more, so you could talk about laws surrounding free blacks in the North. So you could have discrimination, community efforts, and then laws. And then you would be able to do multiple paragraphs on each one of those topics, and then you'd be good to go. So you need to have at least 3 subtopics about whatever your paper's about. And within those body paragraphs, you need to have 2 or 3 quotes or paraphrases. So again, if you're going to break it up, so each subtopic you need to have 2 or 3 quotes or paraphrases. So you don't need to put 3 quotes surrounding white workers refusing to work with blacks. You could do 1 quote here, 1 quote here, 1 quote here, or a quote and a paraphrase and a quote, right? As long as you have it within that topic, 2 or 3 quotes or paraphrases, you're good. You don't have to stuff them all into 1 paragraph. You can space it out. And then again, 5 sources for your paper. All right, that's everything. I will see you tomorrow.